All right, let's dive into one of the most elegant and honestly, surprisingly efficient data structures out there, the disjoint set union, or as you'll often hear it called, union find. This thing is an absolute powerhouse for solving a whole class of problems related to dynamic connectivity.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to figure out what problem DSU is even trying to solve. Then we'll build a simple, kind of slow version of it. After that, we'll look at two brilliant optimizations that make it lightning fast. We'll wrap up by looking at it from a senior engineer's perspective, and then check out some classic problems where DSU is the perfect fit.
Okay, first things first. To really get what DSU is all about, we have to understand the problem it was born to solve. Let's start with a really simple, real-world idea. So just imagine for a second you're building a social network. People are making friends all the time, right? And when two people become friends, their entire social circles kind of merge together. How do you keep track of this? How do you answer questions like, hey, are Bob and Alice connected, even through a friend of a friend of a friend? Or how many separate friend groups do we even have right now? That right there is the dynamic grouping problem.
And this is exactly where the disjoint set data structure shines. It's designed to manage a bunch of sets that have nothing in common. They are totally disjoint. In our social network, this just means a person can't be in two different friend groups at once. To make this work, you really only need two main operations. Find, which is like asking, hey, what group does this person belong to? And union, which is how you merge two of those groups into one.
Okay, so how does this actually work under the hood? Well, we can picture these groups as a collection of trees, what we call a forest. Each tree represents one set, and the very top of that tree, the root, is like the representative for that whole group. And believe it or not, we can build this whole thing with just a simple array. Yep, just one array. We'll call it parent. The logic is simple. The index, let's say I, is our element, and the value at that index, parent I, tells you who its parent is. At the very beginning, nobody is connected. Everyone is their own little group, so every element is its own parent. Visually, you can just picture a bunch of tiny, single-node trees. So let's watch this grow. We start with 7 nodes, all on their own. We do a union 1, 2, simple enough. Node 2 now points to 1. Now watch this next one. Union 2, 3. We don't just connect 3 to 2. No. We first find the root of 2's group, which is 1, and we make that root the parent of 3. That's a really key idea. The same thing happens as we merge the others, and when we finally do union 5, 6, we merge their entire trees by connecting their roots together.
But there is a huge flaw here. If we do our merges in just the wrong order, we can end up creating a tree that's not bushy and balanced, but is instead long and stringy, basically a linked list. And in that worst-case scenario, to find the root, you have to walk down that entire chain. That's a linear time operation, O of n. And for what we want to do, that is just way too slow.
So this is the whole challenge. We have to keep our trees as flat and shallow as we possibly can. And luckily for us, there are two incredibly clever optimizations that solve this problem perfectly. They're called path compression and union by rank, and they are what make DSU a true powerhouse. And I mean, the difference is like night and day. The naive way risks creating these long, terrible chains. The optimized version, though, actively works to keep the trees balanced. The result? We take our time complexity from linear all the way down to nearly constant. Let's see how that's even possible. Okay, optimization number 1 is path compression. The idea is so simple, it's almost funny. When you run a find operation, you have to walk up the tree to get to the root, right? Well, the idea is, on your way back down, you just rewire every single node you visited to point directed to the root. It's like you're creating a superhighway, flattening the tree for any future lookups. And if you look at the code, this one little change is where the magic happens. It's this recursive assignment. Parent find of I equals find set parent find of I. As the function calls itself all the way up to the root, it's this line that executes on the way back down the call stack. It literally reassigns the parent of every node along the path to be the root we just found. That's it. That's path compression. The second optimization is called union by rank, and it tackles the union operation itself. Instead of just randomly attaching one tree to another, we're going to be much smarter about it. We keep track of something called the rank for each tree, which is basically an estimate of its height. And the rule is simple. Always attach the shorter tree to the root of the taller tree. So why does this work? Well, it prevents the trees from getting unnecessarily tall. If you stick a short tree under a tall one, the overall height of the tall tree doesn't even change. The only time the rank actually needs to increase is if you're merging two trees that had the exact same rank to begin with. In that one case, the new root's rank goes up by 1. Now, it's worth mentioning that you'll also hear about an alternative called union by size. It's the same basic idea, but instead of tracking height, it tracks the number of nodes in the tree and just attaches the smaller tree to the larger one. Both of them are fantastic heuristics for keeping the trees balanced, and they both work great. Okay, so let's zoom out. Let's put on our senior engineer hat. We've seen the clever tricks, but why is this data structure so important in a production setting? Well, it all comes down to efficiency when things get really, really big. Think about it. What's the alternative here? Every time you need to check if two things are connected, you might have to run a full graph traversal, like a depth-first search. If you have millions of queries, that approach would grind your system to a halt. DSU turns what could be a really slow, painful problem into something that is just remarkably fast. And this is where things get almost unbelievable. The amortized time complexity with both optimizations is technically O of alpha of n, where alpha is the inverse Ackermann function. You absolutely do not need to know the math behind this, but you need to appreciate just how slowly this function grows. It grows so mind-bogglingly slowly that for any input size you could ever use in the real world, a number bigger than all the atoms in the universe, its value is less than 5. So for all practical purposes, this is a constant time operation. This table just puts it all in perspective. We go from a linear time, O of n operation, a total deal breaker for large datasets, to a nearly constant time, O of a of n operation. And the best part? We get this massive speed boost while keeping the space complexity exactly the same. It's a huge win. So when should that little aha moment happen? When should you think about DSU? You need to be listening for keywords. If a problem mentions connected components, number of provinces, cycle detection, or anything about grouping things or merging sets, DSU should be flashing in your mind, especially if the input is a list of pairs representing connections. And a little pro tip from me to you, always double check if the problem uses 1-based or 0-based indexing. It will save you so much grief. Okay, let's make this really concrete. We're going to look at a couple of classic problems where DSU isn't just a good option, it's the absolute perfect tool for the job. First up is counting connected components, which you often see as the number of provinces problem. The strategy is so elegant. You start a counter at the total number of cities. Then, for every road, you try to union the two cities. If the union is successful, meaning they weren't already connected, you just decrement your counter. The final number in your counter is the answer. It's that simple. Another classic is finding a cycle, like in the redundant connection problem. Here, you process a list of edges one by one. For each edge, you use find to ask a simple question. Are these two nodes already in the same group? If the answer is yes, you're done. That's your redundant edge. Adding it would create a cycle. If they're not in the same group, you just union them and move on to the next edge. It's incredibly efficient. So there we have it. We've gone from the core concept to the nitty-gritty implementation, the optimizations that make it fly, and some classic places to use it. The big takeaway is that this pattern of dynamically merging groups is everywhere, in computer networks, in data clustering, social graphs, you name it. So the question to leave you with is this. Now that you know how to spot the pattern, what other complex systems out there are you going to see it in?